to get us started.
Okay, thanks everybody for joining today's session. Um, so I'm part of Cubotica's delivery. I'm one of the delivery directors for Cubotica, who is a automation service provider, and we are a UiPath Platinum partner as well. Um, I'm one of the MEPs here in the US. So that's a quick introduction from my side. Lokesh.
Yeah, my name is Logesh Velu. I'm a RPA technical architect at Kubotica. I have 13 plus years of experience in the IT industry, mainly around automation, and I have 5 plus years of experience with UiPath. We are here to walk you through the screenplay capability from UiPath and help answer any questions, any clarifications you need around screenplay.
Okay, let's go forward. Okay, so for today, we're going to just focus our discussion on the UiPath's recent offering, which is a screenplay, which is nothing but computer using agents. If you heard about computer using agents in the last 6 to 8 months from different providers like OpenAI and Anthropic. So this is our version. This is UiPath's version of the computer using agents, and how we have packaged it into an activity which can be leveraged inside the UiPath environment. And we would be using UiBank demo application to show you and explain in layman term what is it and how do we use it in our automation journey. Okay, so before we get into the crux of today's meeting, we would want to give a overview of UiPath journey, right? So as many of you are familiar with UiPath, there are a few participants who are new to UiPath, so we wanted to make sure that everybody is covered. The UiPath's journey into RPA started in 2018, where the platform just had the robotic process automation and computer vision in its capabilities. And as years progressed, we moved into the cloud in around 2020, and there is a lot of new features, products, capabilities being added, and we slowly moved from a robotic process automation era into an intelligent automation era between 2019 and 2022. In 2022, we had process discovery capabilities along with intelligent document processing and communication processing capabilities with comms mining, document understanding, and the really fun part started recently in around 2023, 2024, where we have Gen AI, just generative AI activities powered by the large language models, uh, which started to pick up in 2023, and in 2024 we morphed into a more an agentic automation platform with a lot of these capabilities powered products and capabilities powered by the LLMs, and we introduced our own version of trust layers and to make sure that all the governance and policies are in place, and we don't like open it open our automations and the data directly to the LLM providers, right? So now in 2025, we are providing an overview with Mastro, which is like an overarching end-to-end process orchestration engine, which has capabilities which can orchestrate a process end-to-end, which has RPA, intelligent automation with agentic automation capabilities built in, and that's where we are. We can now do end-to-end automations across different platforms, performed by agents, robots, and humans working in tandem. Right? That's where we are. So that's this graph all about, and Screenplay is the recent addition to that agentic automation feature, right? Like I mentioned, it is the latest, which we call computer using agents. That is agents who can work on computers just like a human would do, mimic its action, and they are completely powered by the LLM engines behind it. Yeah, can you go forward? Okay, so this is a landscape which most of the UiPathers would know, and people who are interested in UiPath would have seen. Uh, but I would want, like we say, we have a foundation where we have security governance, low code, integrations, and which are powered by activities, which can be agentic activities, RPA activities, or ITP related activities, which in turn would power workflows. These workflows can be agentic, robotic, human in the loop, and if you go one level up, it's all processes. We automate processes with different technologies, right? Which now has evolved from a business process management era into an agentic process era. But in UiPath, we cover the entire spectrum. We also have a process intelligence layer, which can orchestrate this entire layer end to end by connecting with your systems of record and databases, which are on-prem or on cloud, right? So we provide an end view of automation across any enterprise of size. It can be a small, medium to a very large enterprise. So UiPath has solutions, process automation solutions, which can cater to those needs. So that's what this slide is all about, right? So we started with RPA, now we are in the agentic era. Okay, so this slide, if you see, this talks about the processes. Before we get into the topic, what we do with ScreenPlay is nothing but process automation. So we wanted to understand, we wanted to educate the participants that it's all, at the end of the day, it's process, right? Business processes. In this case, if you see, we have a normal human manual process, which is it comes into an inbox, uh, and the documents in the inbox gets identified, and someone would manually look up the information from those documents and then update an SAP record, right? And they create cases and update systems, where, and we do a review of the data entry, and then it goes in loop until it gets approved, and it moves forward in the value chain. So it's a very simple process, but if you see, there's a lot of human touch, even though there are systems involved like SAP, uh, we have Acrobat and email, still there's a lot of human touch. So there it is error prone. It cannot be scaled without adding more people to it. Um, and the experience is not seamless because we have to switch between multiple systems, and there is always human delays as well, right? So this is where we were before UiPath. With UiPath, we can completely revamp this experience. If we go to the next slide, that's exactly what it should show. If you see this, all these manual steps can be automated with multiple UiPath products, which are now available as part of the agentic suite, right? Like email, there can be integration services which can talk to your Outlook integration, and which from there all your documents can be ingested using our intelligent document processing. It can be structured, semi-structured, or unstructured using our IXP product, uh, and then all the data lookup and actions which needs to happen can be, if there is a deterministic, if it's a non-deterministic work which a human needs to read through and do some action, those can be now eliminated, and agents can do those work, right? But there is always deterministic work, rule-based work. In this case, it's a data entry into a SAP where we don't have to think a lot. Those things can be done using RPA, and uh, we can always have a human in the loop to make sure that these processes are aligning with the company's policies, and that's how we orchestrate with the UiPath, right? This is the one level below the screen capture or screenplay, which we're going to discuss, right? Before screenplay, this is the capabilities we have uh, in our hand to automate this end-to-end process. But with screenplay, this experience is going to become much better. That's what we're going to talk in this um, session, right? So this is all the context we would want to provide before we dive deep into our topic. Okay, so now if you see screenplay, you would appreciate where and how it would fit in, right? So this is the crux of today's discussion. What is screenplay? So like I mentioned, screenplay is nothing but computer using agents. Agents who would work on your screen just like a human would, do actions, uh, and you would you never know the difference whether I think I lost presentation. Yeah, thank you. So we would never know whether it's done by a human or an agent doing your UI based um, work on your screen, and it's all LLM powered, right? So consider this as a smart assistant on your desktop, helping you with some of your activities. They can also act independently uh, in a virtual environment as well, right? But if you want to understand what it is, it's nothing but a task can be provided in simple terms, and the UI operations will be performed on the screen by an uh, agent. It can be a it can be as simple as creating a order in your SaaS order management system, or it can be even complicated to go and identify a particular invoice in your invoice management system and pay it off, right? So we can take it to multiple levels without the traditional UI based activities, right? So because of intelligence inbuilt, this will be the future of our UI automations. Right now, any UI automation is based on web selectors and application selectors. Even if you are using some legacy applications, still there is selectors involved. If you use terminal activities, there is always deterministic selectors, right? So those use cases can now in future be transformed with the screenplay. Okay, that's a quick introduction on what is the screenplay and where we are and how we could use it currently. I think once we see a demo, we will get a good hold of this. Okay, let me deep dive into some of the key highlights of key features of this screenplay. Now that we know what is screenplay is nothing but a computer using agent who can mimic human actions without the normal UI selectors, right? What what are the key highlights? Main highlights are in here, right? So it is self-healing and resilient, right? We don't have to build automations on UI selectors. Let's say UIs are very brittle and there is upgrades and changes. We don't have your automations will not like break as it currently do. You can build very self-healing and resilient automations if you use screenplay. The other advantage is hybrid automation. So what I mean by hybrid is we could mix and match different technologies like RPA, APIs, and agents uh, into this screenplay, and it can be fitted in any of these automation. It doesn't have to be one or other. It can work on any of the existing automation, or when you build something new, screenplay can be integrated with our existing suite of features. Okay, the best part is the low code simplicity, right? So here it's all um, simple natural language prompts which we are going to tell the agents to do, and we can just as it's very simple to use, it's very low code, right? And any business user or any layman per se can start using ScreenPlay to start automating some of the uh, new any automations they do. Like it's going to fast track any citizen development work as well, right? The other very highlighted feature here is the branching scenarios. So let's say you have a process which goes across multiple apps, websites, and those connections may change and they're very brittle. So those kind of scenarios would be handled better with screenplay. And as there is cognitive intelligence in play, it's easy to understand the elements on the screen and take actions appropriately without having to hard code logics and don't have to overthink and do a lot of requirements gathering and edge case scenarios. So those things can be avoided in future if you go with this approach. And of course, we are relying on computer vision. So computer vision is the key for this to work, and all the elements on the screen will be ingested with LLM powered agents, and that is computer vision is the core for how this works, right? If anything, if you want to do a read operation, write on the UIs, um, are now powered by computer vision. And the last very key feature is cross-platform. It can be used across Windows, Macs, and Linux. So there is cross-platform compatibility. So you can start using it in your any of your environments. So these are some of the key features at this current moment, uh, and we have multiple models being supported as well. Uh, so which is another good to have, and UiPath is already always updating the models so that we get the best and brightest model to use uh, for free with this platform, right? So just to summarize, we have self-healing, hybrid automation, low code, and uh, which will make this very easy for anyone to ingest. Okay, so if you want to get started with screenplay, where would you start, right? So that is the $1 million question. We know what a screenplay, what it can do, easy to use, but how do we use it? Where do we use it, right? So that's what this slide talks about. So if you are familiar with automation, of course, we are automating on business applications, right? So pick the business applications where we have a lot of UI changes, selected changes, and it's very brittle, and we changes frequently, right? We don't have to um, look very deep. We can even if you look at the logs, we'll identify where whichever automations have most number of faults, and UI changes and change requests in the recent past are good candidates for screenplay. For instance, if there are customer service portals, any claims application, because claims rules and uh, will change in many companies. So wherever there is a lot of business process rules changes, those business applications are good candidates for redesign using screenplay, right? Another place where you can look for is legacy applications, right? So if there are legacy applications behind Citrix and VDIs and other remote desktops, uh, and you see them to be very brittle with the existing automation, that would be another good place where you can start using the screenplay. Loan and mortgage application green screens are good candidates for screenplay, right? And there are few activities. Let's say there are ad hoc activities which keep changing, right? If there are no rule-based systems and the UI keeps changing with unfrequent uh, work. So, for example, if you are working in a finance space, if you have heard about the financial closing, Journal entries are some of those rules which keep changing every month and every quarter, right? So we can't keep updating the automation every time a small rule changes or a UI. Or for instance, if you need to introduce a new step in between, it's ought to if you have done a rule-based automation, it's ought to like change every time, right? Every quarter, we can't keep changing the process. So those kind of work can be now automated with screenplay, where the prompts can be changed on the fly, and these changes can happen very quickly, um, compared to what we do now with the change and the change requests and re-releases. Those cycles can be now reduced. So, like I mentioned, this is a this will make a life easy for a lot of business users who are interested in building citizen development programs. Right now, we have citizen development tools which are being used, but this is going to be a game changer. Which is going to bring in a lot of business users upfront to get them interested in automation, because it's just going to be natural language and they could prompt build automations. So that is one of the major changes we could see. Easiest way to entry. And the last one, it's a little bit tricky, but it can also be used for human in the loop work. If you are into a lot of human in the loop activities, and you wanted to like reduce those effort, for instance, if you are use communication mining, there is a lot of whenever there is a label, whenever automation is not able to like categorize a particular request, we always go back and update the labels in communication mining, and we might need to relabel hundreds of emails or messages, right? So those kind of complicated activities can now be easily done using screenplay. Similarly, with any other validations on Action Center, right? So it opens up a lot of doors. We can get more creative, as we don't have to rely on normal automations. These are some of the areas where we can start using screenplay. Okay, this is just to start thinking out of the box, but there are many other places where we can definitely engage screenplay, right? So with this, I can hand it over back to Lokesh to talk more into the technical part and demo.
Sounds good, Arun. Yeah, thank you. So let's move on to the screenplay setup, right? How do I use screenplay? So we heard about what is screenplay, what benefits it can bring to the organization, to enterprise, etc. And we went through some of the use cases as well. But how do I actually get started? Since we have like a mix of audience here, we'll keep it like very high level. If you're like a entry level person who want to use screenplay, how do you get started, right? um, you need automation cloud, of course. So you need UiPath automation cloud tenant. Plus you need a studio desktop or studio web. Studio desktop, you can have like one of the latest version. It doesn't have to be 25.10. 25.10 is recommended. 25.10 or above is recommended. But as long as you have one of the recent version, you should be good. Studio web, it will always be in the most recent version. So either studio desktop or studio web. um, Within the studio desktop or studio web, you're going to add an activity called screenplay, right? You drag and drop an activity called screenplay. So we'll go through this prerequisites in a minute, but I can quickly show you in like real time in the cloud portal itself. So I've got my cloud portal here. I'll zoom it a little bit so that it will be visible for everyone. Okay, so I've got my cloud portal here. This is my staging environment. So all you need to do is just go into this grid and then choose Studio Web. If you click on Studio Web, it will take you to this particular page where you can actually create an RPA workflow, right? As Arun mentioned, you can add this screenplay, which is like an UI agent, into your RPA workflow. So you need to first create an RPA workflow to be able to use the screenplay functionality. So you go into Automation Cloud, you need to have like a valid subscription for Automation Cloud, and then you open Studio Web and then create an RPA workflow. So as soon as you create an RPA workflow, it will say like you have a manual trigger and then you need to add an activity. That's where you would add the screenplay activity. If you just click on press, you can choose a screenplay activity here. There is a screenplay activity. If you're not able to find it, just go in here and then search for screenplay without any like space here, right? Search for screenplay and then this particular activity should appear. In case if this particular activity is not showing up, it means that one of the prerequisites is missing, right? So let's go back to the slide and take a look at the prerequisites. When it comes to Studio Desktop, the prerequisite is you need to have latest version of UI automation package installed. Of course, you need to have, as I mentioned, you need to have one of the recent version of Studio Desktop. If you have 24.10, it will work. Okay, thank you so much. I think there seems to be some glitch, but hope you guys can hear me. So in Studio Desktop, basically the requirement is you need to have one of the latest version of Studio. As I mentioned earlier, 24.10 will work, but if you have 25.10 or above, that will be great because there are some feature differences between 24.10 and 25.10. So if you have latest version of Studio, that will work great. And in the manage packages screen, you need to have 25.10.5 and above of UI automation activity package. So if UI automation package is already installed, that's great. Make sure that is one of the recent version 25.10.5 or above. If it is not installed, you have to install the package and then choose the relevant version. Make sure to choose the include pre-release option, right? So that these latest packages will appear. So you need to choose the include pre-release option. Plus, you need to choose one of the latest version of UI automation activity package. Once you add that package, you can go into the activities panel and then search for screenplay, right? It should show up here and you can just drag and drop and add that particular activity here in your workflow. So this is for Studio Desktop. For Studio Desktop, the requirement is manage packages, make sure UI automation activity package is installed. It is one of the recent version 25.10.5 or above. Choose the include pre-release option. Make sure to choose it to make sure all the like this is a preview capability. Screenplay is a preview capability, right? So the screenplay option has to appear. You have to choose the include in pre-release option. Plus, make sure official feed is included. So if you go to the settings panel, make sure this official feed is included so that you can find the latest UI automation activity packages that UiPath supplies. So those are the prerequisites from a Studio Desktop perspective. Make sure this official package is included in the settings screen. In the project dependencies, make sure UI automation package is installed and it is 25.10.5 or above. As long as you have this, screenplay activity should appear and you can drag and drop the screenplay and use it. When you drag and drop a screenplay, you might have noticed that it comes with the use application browser because you need to first indicate a screen, right? Once you indicate a screen, then you'll be able to use the screenplay activity. You can provide the instructions within the activity and then it will basically start automating it. When it comes to Studio Web, you need to make sure the one of the automation ops policies deployed. So how do you ensure that the policy is deployed? You need to navigate to automation ops. There is a service called automation ops. So if you go into cloud, navigate to automation ops, and then there is a rule called Studio Web. You can create a new rule for Studio Web and then enable certain checkbox called enable preview activities, right? So I'm into automation ops now. I have already created the rule. If you want to create a new policy or new rule, you can go in here, choose something like Studio Web governance policy, choose the Studio Web option here, click on add, and then you go into activity screen and then choose this particular checkbox, right? So this checkbox has to be enabled in order to use the screenplay activity within your Studio Web automation. So I've already created this particular policy and I've deployed it to tenant. So this particular feature is enabled for my account, right? Since I'm part of the particular tenant, this particular policy is applicable for me. So these are the main prerequisites. If I go back here, latest version of Studio, manage packages, include the pre-release option on the top. There is a screenshot here. And in the feeds, make sure this enable preview packages and activities option is checked. And then make sure you have 25.10.5 plus UI automation activity packages. And then this settings screen, in the manage package settings screen, you have the default sources included, which is like the UiPath official feed. So these are the main prerequisites. Feel free to try it out. In case if you're not able to find it, feel free to reach out to us. I'm available in LinkedIn. You can reach out to me, or you can post the questions in forum channel as well. Someone will be able to answer your question. But these are the prerequisites that is needed for in order to use a screenplay. And make sure to use the screenplay only in test environment for now. Sandbox a test environment. Use non-sensitive data because this is in preview phase. There would be some data collection scenarios applicable for just for the learning of the agent. The data collection scenarios will be applicable, which we'll discuss in detail in the upcoming slides. So make sure to not use any sensitive data unless it is in generally available, like unless it becomes GA. Make sure to use only non-sensitive data for your testing. Make sure to run screenplay only in the sandbox or test tenants. Before moving on to further instructions around like setup in Studio Web, let me quickly show you a demo, right? So if I go into Studio Web again, so I'm using for this purpose of demo, I'm using Studio Web. I'm not using Studio Desktop today. I mean, Studio Desktop, I can show you what is available in Studio Desktop, but for this demo, I'm using Studio Web. So if I navigate to Studio Web, I will show you how to build it from the scratch, but I will also show you that what I've built already, right? I've built like a quick demo already here with the screenplay activity and the instructions as well. Let me quickly walk you through what is this RPA workflow, what is this does, and then I'll quickly run it and show you how this works in real time. We'll show you how it interacts with the application, etc. So I'm using UiBank application. So probably you might have heard about UiPath UiBank application, right? So UiBank. So this is like a demo portal. I'm using this application for this purpose of this demo. When I run this particular automation, what it will do is it will enter the username, it will enter the password, it will click on sign in. This is like a UiBank demo application, right? So within this application, this automation will try to apply for a new account and it will populate certain information. It will create a new account and then log out from the application. So these are the sequence of steps. So it will initially log in, it will apply for a new account, it will provide some details, create a new account, checking or savings account, whatever it is, and then it will log out from that application. So these are the sequence of steps. Now, traditionally, if you build this automation, you have to build it using RPA, right? The selectors, you have to indicate each of these element. Like I have to say, okay, this is my username field, this is my password field, this is my sign in field, these are the selectors, these are the properties. You need to interact it in this way. You have to use strict selector, fuzzy selector. So there are a lot of nuances in there. So you have to make sure everything is configured properly to be able to interact with these elements, to be able to automate it basically. Now, with the screenplay agent, I'm not using any selectors. I'm not using any like much properties or anything like that. I'm not configuring it much. All I'm doing is just giving plain simple English instructions. I dragged and dropped the screenplay activity. I've provided some instructions here. So you can see my instructions here. Click on edit prompt. So this is my instruction. Enter the username, enter the password, click sign in button to log in, click I agree to the privacy policy button. So this is like an extra pop-up that appears in the UiBank application. So this is a simple login screen, like enter username, enter password, click sign in. Those are simple usual login steps. The only additional step that I have here is if there is a pop-up that appears which has the word I agree to the privacy policy, just click on the button, right? Just to bypass that particular or agree to that particular policy and then go to the next step. So this is my instruction. Simple instruction, nothing fancy here. I don't have any other like selectors or anything configured here. So just to show you how I added this activity. So click on here, click on screenplay, right? So that will add that particular activity. So if you see here, this is activity originally, right? I have not made any changes here. This is like a new activity that I added. Prompt with optional. This is like predefined text. which ask you to like provide a prompt, right? You can provide variables in this format, and this is where you provide your prompt. Here you can choose a list of models. By default, it's choosing GPT 4.1, and this is a UiPath model. Wherever it says UiPath, that's a UiPath model. Wherever there is a not a UiPath, it's like bring your own model. We'll talk about bring your own model in a minute. But as soon as you add this particular activity, it by default chooses a model, and then you can change that model based on your preference. So it's called as LAMs, right? Large action models. So there are different type of model. One is LLMs, another one is LAMs. So this comes under the LAMs, large action model, where not only it understands your goal, but it actually performs actions as well, right? A typical LLM like ChatGPT or like Anthropic kind of thing, it understands your text, it summarizes your text, it provides answer to your text. It can generate text and images, but it can't do the action. But this lamps can do the action. It can basically understand your goal and perform like actions within the computer, right? It's computer user agent. As the name says, it can actually use a computer. It can actually perform the actions based on the prompt that you provide. So once you edit the prompt and then provide the prompt, you can choose the model here and then execute this particular activity to see whether if it is actually working, if it is able to interact with the um, particular application, right? So I'm just going to delete it for now. And then, so these are the steps, sequence of steps that I have. Initially, I have enter username and password and click sign in. And then it will agree to the privacy policy. Then it will click apply for a new account. And then in the nickname field, it will provide a name for that account. And then it will choose the account type, which is like a drop down field. It will select checking or savings. Here I've provided checking, but it can provide either checking or savings, and click apply to submit. Once a account is created, then I'm extracting a text from that particular application, and then I can use that text for validation. I'm not doing any validation here, but I'm just printing that text to show you that these screenplay activities can actually extract the content from the website, and then finally it can log out from the application. So these are the sequence of steps that we have, right? um, I'm just checking if there are any questions in the chat. Okay, so yeah, we'll circle back on the questions, but I'll try to cover these sections as much as is possible, and then probably we'll spend some time to address the questions. So these are the sequence of steps that I have. I will show you in real time how to add, how to automate it, but I'm just going to execute this automation for now, and you can see what it is actually doing. So as per these instructions, it should as you see, you see the live stream here, right, where it will actually open the application. It will enter the username, password, it has to click sign in, and it has to complete the rest of the steps as I explained in the goal or in the prompt, right? There is no selectors involved. There is no like much properties or fuzzy selector or strict selector that you typically configure in RPA. It's purely prompt based. You provide the prompts in natural language like simple plain English, and it's able to automate your application. It's a really exciting feature, and I feel that a lot of like uncertainties, a lot of reliability issues that we had with the traditional RPA can be mitigated with this particular screenplay feature. So as you see, it was able to log into the application. It was able to enter the username, password. This particular step is successful. Then it is moved to the next step, where it's actually going to apply for a new account. There will be a small delay between the steps. That's a default delay that UiPath has like applied for each of the steps. When you expand this section, you can see the default delay is I think zero point 0.2 seconds for delay before and zero point 0.3 seconds for delay after. That's mainly to improve the reliability. Here, there is no selectors involved, there is no properties involved, right? So you need to give some kind of buffer time for the agent to interpret what actions it has to do and perform the actions. So there will be some buffer time. So it will be a matter of selecting the or choosing the reliability over performance or performance over reliability. um, I I would recommend not to automate everything with screenplay. Or UiPath doesn't recommend automating everything with screenplay. Wherever there is an uncertainty, wherever there is a reliability issue with selectors, there you can go with the screenplay option. You can use a mix of traditional UI automation with the screenplay to come up to like get a better outcomes rather than automating everything with screenplay, because screenplay are mainly for targeted actions. It cannot do broad things, and wherever there is a stable environment that is available, you don't have to go with screenplay, right? For example, there is a strict selector which works perfectly fine. You prefer performance over reliability, right? In that case, you can go with the not over reliability. You prefer performance. Reliability will be good if you're using strict selector, but if you are preferring performance, then traditional RPA would be good. But wherever there is like a area where you want like cognitive intelligence, you want semantic actions kind of thing, you want to search based on like certain descriptions that you provide. I want to get the most the vendor who has like the most number of amount that is available, something like that, right? Anything that kind of cognitive intelligence or semantics needed, there you can apply screenplay. Anywhere there is like a straightforward scenario, I want to go put my username, password, click on login, the selectors are reliable, I don't have to worry about that. You can use the traditional RPA. So you can use a combination of traditional RPA plus screenplay. We'll go through all those things in the slides in a minute, but as you can see, it has completed everything. So for each action, it was doing some reasoning. Okay, here is reasoning. Based on the reasoning, I'm doing this particular action. So it is executing the prompt, it is doing a reasoning, and then it is performing the action. And at the bottom, you can see I did an extraction as well. It was able to extract like a certain text from that particular application. The congratulations, your account has been created, it's approved, you can now start using your account, something like that. So it's able to extract the text. Now you can use normal activities to compare whether if that particular account creation has been successful or not. So that's on the demo side. I have like an unattended part as well. I was able to publish this automation, and I was able to run this automation through a serverless. So let me try to run it. um, I encountered like failure last time. I don't know what was the issue, but let me show you the previous instance that was passed. So if you see here, it does the same kind of actions in the unattended as well. So it was able to perform the same automation, same steps. It was able to understand what is the goal. It was able to reason and then action that particular activity, particular action. And then I've recorded that particular video as well just to show you how it works. So here is a recording that shows it was able to run the same automation in unattended. And as Arun mentioned earlier, it works in Windows, Mac, and Linux. So it is able to work in multiple environments. You'll be able to use ScreenPlay in Windows, Mac, and Linux machines as well. So for unattended, it does the same thing. It is able to enter the username, password. It is able to agree to that pop-up, and then it's able to apply for a new account. And then it will enter the nickname and then choose a type of account, right? And then finally it will get the text and then log out from this application. So it's essentially the same. You will be able to run it in attended, you'll be able to run it in unattended as well. The same screenplay will work in both environments, and it will work in different kind of operating systems as well. Going back to the slides, um, so the next couple of slides are related to how you can use this in Studio versus Studio Web. Studio, as I described earlier, you need to have the latest version of UI automation activity package. Once you add that package, you can add the screenplay activity, and in the prompt field, you have to provide your prompt. So this is how it looks like in the Studio desktop. Here you need to provide your prompt, right? Once you provide the prompt, enter username, enter password, whatever it is, then execute it. It will be able to perform the actions. That's a Studio side of things. And at the bottom, you can choose the model, whatever model that is preferred for you. UiPath supplies like out of the box models which you can use. And there is some description for each of the models to say when it can be used. Certain models can be used for complex scenarios. Certain models can be used for, it will be faster, but it will be used for less complex scenario. Those kind of descriptions you can find it in When you hover over, you can find out when it works best. So you can, I would recommend trying out with different models and choose the right one which works for your application, works for an environment, etc., works for a use case more specifically, whether if it is a complex use case or a simple use case, and whether if it is browser, etc. Plus, UiPath also has bring your own model. Not only you can use UiPath provided out of the box model, you can bring your own model. If you have like a Azure subscription, or if you have like a Google subscription that is already available, or Anthropic subscription, you can bring your own model. You can connect it with ScreenPlay and use those models as well. The benefit of using those models is those models are within your control. There is no usage limit. You can use it as much as your subscription allows. There could be some kind of pricing that would be available if you use bring your own LLMs, but it will not be as equivalent to when you use UiPath models. So currently, UiPath models are free to use until preview, but post GA, it will consume agentic units, right? So you need any additional subscription. Rather, if you have agentic units, because it's an UI agent, right? So it's an agent in itself. So it will consume agentic units once it becomes GA. Pricing will be available like once nearer the time. Once it becomes GA, all the pricing details will be available. But for now, for your pilot, POC, or testing, this is UiPath models are completely free to use. If you want to use bring your own model, then that particular capability has to be available in your automation cloud. So if you go to your automation cloud AI trust layer screen, there you have to configure your bring your own LLM model. If you don't have this feature available, feel free to contact UiPath product team. They'll be able to work with you to enable that feature. Right? So setup in studio, we talked about add the screenplay, provide the prompt, and then choose like an LAM model, large action model from that list. And then installation, I think studio, we discussed studio web. It's pretty much the same. The only additional thing is enable this preview and package activities from the automation ops. We saw this earlier in the previous slides, right? You need to go into automation ops and then enable this particular checkbox. Once this checkbox is enabled, then you can use the screenplay in your studio web. Installation options, we discussed two kind of options. One is out of the box model. UiPath provides free monthly quota until the end of preview. You can use it for quick trial, exploring features. Even once it becomes GA, there will be like a trial option available if you want to try it out. But post GA, it will be consuming agentic units. If you bring your own model, there is no usage limit. You'll have full control over the models that you want to use. But you have to like reach out to UiPath product team if you want to enable that bring your own model option. Plus, there will be some kind of haircut price available for like bring your own models. It will not be the consumption of agentic units will not be the same as out of the box model. So those kind of pricing things you can discuss with UiPath product and sales team. So bring your own setup. This is a screen that I was talking about. So if you want to bring your own model, you need to have access to this particular screen. So this screen will be available in admin panel. I think it's faulting for some reason. I don't know what is the problem here, but earlier it was successful. It was able to perform all these different operations. But let me quickly navigate back to the admin panel. So if you want to use your bring your own model, there will be a new tab here called bring your own LLM or LLM configurations. If that particular feature is not available, you can reach out to UiPath product team to or the preview team to enable that particular capability. But once you add that capability, once you enable that particular feature, then you can replace UiPath LLM subscription with your own subscription, right? You can connect your own LLM models, save and deploy, and use it as part of Screenplay, right? Um, so some of the precautions that you need to be aware of is this particular capability is still in preview. So use it only for test environment or mock data. Don't use it for production scenarios or use live data or very sensitive data. Data collection scenarios would be applicable. UiPath might collect data for like improvement of that particular capability. Like it's a UiPath's like agents learning phase, right? So there will be some data collection scenarios applicable for preview features. So until GA, don't use it for any production scenarios. You can use it for pilot, POC, or use it in the non-production environment with non sensitive data. Break your task into smaller focused action. Don't put like too much of prompt within the single action or a single screenplay activity. Break it into smaller focused actions instead of one long automation, one activity doing multiples of steps, maximum 2 to 3 steps per activity, right? You can use the same activity screenplay but add it multiple times, and in each activity provide focused actions. Avoid sensitive or production data until it becomes GA. Expect some unpredictability. So as I said, this part of agents learning phase, it itself, it's a UI agent, right? So expect some unpredictability. It will not be able to work on all the scenarios. And as I mentioned earlier, mix it with traditional RPA. Don't replace your entire traditional RPA, which is based on selectors. Mix it with traditional RPA. Anywhere there is like a simple, straightforward scenario where your selectors are reliable, you prefer performance over reliability, there you can use a traditional RPA. Anywhere there is uncertainty, traditional RPA cannot handle unexpected pop-ups. There are some dynamic table list, those kind of things you can use screenplay. It provide focused actions as I described before. So in my scenario, if you see, I provided only 3 steps, 3 or 4 steps maximum, and it was able to perform well. Enter username, enter password, click sign in, and then agree to that particular policy, right? And then go to the next action, next screenplay activity, then apply for new account, do certain actions. So keep it very focused, test it multiple times to make sure it works, right? And then best in terms of best practices, update fragile automations, replace brittle selector with screenplay steps. So if it is a fragile automation where traditional RPA cannot handle certain things like UI changes, selector changes, etc., there you can use screenplay. Build granular automations, one activity equal to 1 to 2 clear simple actions, right? Not more than that. Provide less number of actions within a particular activity. Target control agency means um, don't allow like this activity to take control of everything, right? Don't make it completely autonomous. It may not be able to handle your entire UI automation use case. Rather, do it like a control agency where it can do very specific focused actions. For example, pop-up or dynamic list or changing layouts, etc. And then balance accuracy and cost by selecting models. So when you're adding screenplay, make sure to review all these different types of action models that are available, right? In your activity there are different types of models available. Test it with the different models and choose what works best for your use case, what works best for your browser, what works best for your cost, from a cost perspective as well. Choose the right model and use it. If you prefer like faster, cheaper model, then go with GPT 4.1 mini, for example. But if you want to go with complex tasks, then you can choose 4.1 or 5. Depending on your use case, the outcome that you're expecting, choose a relevant model. Try with different models, and like compare the differences between the accuracy versus cost, and determine the right model appropriately, and then use it, right? So that's another best practice. And then Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. The precautions and best practices we have covered. I have some links attached here. Mainly UiPath has like a very detailed documentation. If you go in here, so there is a detailed documentation that is available about what is screenplay. There is a video demo that is available. How to install screenplay, it is completely documented here. Whatever we went through, it is completely documented here. And then what are the best practices as well? We reviewed these best practices as well today. So everything is documented. Those references are available in this page. Plus I've attached the link to the demo, and then community link where you can actually find out the upcoming events. Plus I've added the link to the insider portal as well. So there are some resources and links available in this page which you can leverage. But that's pretty much. I don't know if there are any. I think we just have 5 minutes left. Is there anything?
Questions. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's get into the questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's now the floor is open for any questions. Yeah, if you feel free to ask any questions. Ask.
Hey, this is Amrish here. And I had a question about the extension. So do we need any additional extension installed for this thing to work?
Yeah, I think if you're using Studio Web, normally it will install like a Studio Web extension. You need that latest version of extension to be able to use it. So apart from the UI, the browser extension, you don't need anything additional, but you need the browser extensions to be enabled for this particular feature to work. But as soon as you drag and drop that activity, it will prompt you what kind of extension it needs to install. Once you install, then you'll be able to use that particular activity.
Do we have some kind of documentation for that in the links that you have shared
Uh,
in the prerequisite or somewhere? If
I
it is
don't.
there, then that's fine.
Yeah, let me find out that. I will share that as well. I mean, when we are sharing this presentation, we'll make sure to include that particular information and share it as well.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's still not GA. So, Lokesh, do we know a GA date for this tentative? I think it's 26.25.10, right?
Most likely, yeah, Q1 2026.
Q1.
Any other questions? I see some questions in the chat. Does every call to LLM for this each activity cost additional units? So the pricing part is, I mean, it's not yet clear. It's still in preview phase. Until preview, it will be free. You can use this for trial, POC, pilot, etc. But once it becomes GA, the pricing will be much clear. That depends upon the LLM call. So that's the reason there is a property called maximum number of steps here. You can actually use this particular property to control how many steps it can execute, um, so that it doesn't go out of control, right? Based on that, you can control the agentic unit consumption, etc. But the pricing is still not clear. Once it becomes GA, the pricing will be much more clear. And then, does it always have to be serverless environment for this purpose, or is it possible to run on a specific unattended machine if the latter is feasible as a process scheduling? Yeah, I think it works in any environment. It works in Windows, it works in unattended, it works in serverless, and normal Windows machines as well. So it works in any environment: Windows, Linux, Mac, unattended, like Windows type of project, and plus cross-platform type of project as well.
Correct. So one closing remark from me, if there is no other questions, is this. See, as this is just going to like be a game changer for the UI automation, right? So RPA started with simple UI automations, and now we are changing the status quo. Even though the recommendation is not like totally forget what we learned in RPA and switch over, this is going to be the future, right? It's going to become the norm. Maybe a couple of years down the line, this will become much more affordable, more intelligent, and future of automation will be built on it, because that's how other the OpenAIs and the Anthropics of the world are envisioning, and definitely UiPath will be following their footsteps. So this is going to be a game changer.
I have prepared like a list of facts as well. Since we don't have time, we won't be able to cover this one, but I will add these facts to the presentation and we'll share that presentation after this session. But this is like an exhaustive list that covers everything about screenplay. If you have any other questions, I mean, extension is one of the question, but other than that, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us through LinkedIn or through forum post. We'll be able to answer those questions. We'll be happy to answer your questions as well.
Yep. Thank you.
Arun and Lagesh, thank you. What a great job. And thank you, everybody, for attending today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Diana.
Yep.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.